So now we will be performing the skill of perineal care. Perineal care is very similar to catheter care. In this scenario, you're going to need your 2 blue pads or chucks pads. You're going to need 4 washcloths, and you're going to need 2 of your bigger towels for this skill. You're going to need soap, and you're definitely going to need gloves. So we'll proceed with this skill. Good morning, Miss Jones. How are you doing? Great. My name is Doris. I'm going to provide you with privacy. I'm going to be performing perineal care on you for today, if that's okay. Wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sanitize my hands. And if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get ready for this skill. I'm going to put my gloves on. You want to make sure the hand sanitizer is completely rubbed into your hands. I'm going to go ahead and take your call bell. Okay, get that out of the way. I'm going to also go ahead and set up my table. I'm going to set up my barrier on my table because I want to be able to place my objects. Excuse my barrier, it's a little bit retired, but it's still workable for us for the purpose of demonstrating this skill. So I have my barrier there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and empty my objects out onto my barrier. I have my additional chucks pad. I have my 4 washcloths. Okay, have my 4 washcloths, and I have my 2 bigger towels here. I'm going to place these on top. The first thing I'm going to want to do is go ahead. I'm going to go get some water, and I'll be back in just a second. You're going to go to the sink. You're going to get water. You want to make sure you get warm water. That is the key there with this skill. You want to fill it to at least that number 2 line. I really am kind of weary on the number 3 line, but number 2 to 3 is okay. It's filled. I'm going to return back to my table. But before I do that, actually, since this sink is closer to this patient, can you go ahead, Miss Jones, and test the water temperature for me and make sure that it's warm and it feels well? Very good. I'm going to go ahead and I am going to sit it on the table. At this point, I'm going to focus on putting the linen protector under her for this skill. So I'm going to proceed to raise the height of the bed. So we have to be in a workable position. So I'm going to raise her up. Now, excuse Miss Jones. Her arm is not functioning. So I'm going to have to, we're going to have to just pretend as though she has her arm. But I'm sorry, guys, her arm is non-functioning. I'm going to pull this down. Okay, I'm going to lower her head. Okay, I'm going to continue to try to maintain privacy as much as I can. I'm going to open my chucks pad. Roll it, roll it, roll it. I'm going to roll you over. Okay. I'm going to roll over. I'm going to place my chucks pad. Now this mannequin is a little bit lighter, so I can do a little bit more with her. I'm going to roll you over. And then I'm going to do the same. I'm going to roll. And I'm going to straighten that out over there. Still want to make sure it's wrinkle free. Privacy is still provided. I'm going to go ahead, continue to bring my table around. Okay, now the first thing I want to focus on is the washing cycle. With the washing cycle, that involves soap. So I'm going to take my first towel and I'm going to apply the soap and the water, rinse it out. Again, this is a very sensitive time for your residents, so privacy is very much so enforced, and ensuring that your water is warm by having them to test the water temperature. And that's just not for this skill, but that's for all skills. It's very important to make sure that you test the water temperature while still providing privacy. Okay, we're going to expose the area in which we work. Again, my towel is folded in the sense to where I can use a different segment of the towel with each wipe. Okay, so what I want to focus on is outer, outer, inner, separating the labia, and the mons pubis also has to get a little bit of attention here. So with that being said, I will verbalize to my observer that I separate the labia. We're going to wash from front to back. That's 1. For our second stroke, we're going to come over to the opposite side of the labia, 2. And then we're going to get the vaginal opening. That's 3. And then we're going to save our last leaflet for the Mons Pubis 4. Now that's soap. I'm going to place that dirty away from my other onto the barrier. I'm going to get ready to rinse it. Okay, now for the rinsing, we're going to do the same notion. So this is area 1 down. We're going to do area 2 down, separating the labia, area number 3 down, and area number 4 white onto my barrier, way separate from my cleaning. And we're going to proceed to dry. For the dry, we're patting. So let's pat, 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 pat. I like to switch sides, okay? That is pat, 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 pat. Perfect. For the center, it's pat, 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 pat. Perfect. And then pat, 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 pat. Okay? Put this on a separate side of my barrier, okay, with the table. The front is clean. At this point, your test observer can help you turn over your mannequin. So we're going to pretend we're going to have her again. We're going to roll you over. Just a second. We'll be done. This point, we want to, again, wipe upward. So I have my soap. Okay. I'm going to get some soap. I'm going to wash it off. Squeeze it out. Take my towel. And this time, I'm going to proceed the exact same way. Okay. I'm going to upward stroke. My second area of my towel, be careful not to flick this towel. And I'm going to go upward stroke. And then finally, for my last part, I'm going to upward stroke. Very good. Separate area of the table. Now I have to rinse off. We're going to wet this. Okay. We're going to get ready to rinse in the same manner. Okay. So that's 1 up. Completely cleaning the person. Okay. You want to go 2 up, and you want to go with a separate portion of your towel. Then that is 4 up. All right, now I'm going to dry. For the drying portion, it's just patting. Pat, 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 pat. Separate area. Pat, 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 pat. And then I can come on the back side, pat, 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 pat. Now, while I have her here, I can go ahead at this point and just roll all this under, tuck it under, slowly position her back down, and I can position her over, removing the blue pad, the Chuck's pad. I trash this Chuck's pad, trash, okay? I'm going to go ahead and provide privacy for her, okay? I want to make sure everything looks presentable. And while I'm here, I'll go ahead and place the call bell in her dominant hand. Ensure that she's good and comfortable. Neat. Pillow is adjusted. Lower the height of the bed. And I can go ahead and raise the height of the bed. Get her comfy. You feel better? Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Lowest position. I'm going to go ahead and take my table out and just arrange and put my things in the appropriate place. I'm going to take my soap. I'm going to place it in the storage area. I'm going to take my linen, place it in the soil linen area. Because you guys have to think about, you have a 30-minute window period to get all this stuff situated. So just think wisely. And again, as I get my blue pad, I'm folding it away from me. And I'm going to trash it. And I'm going to pour my water out. I'm going to pour it out. And I'm going to rinse it. And then I'm going to pour it out. And then I'm going to dry it. Make sure your basin is dry. They are going to look for that. Make sure that it is dry, y'all. Dry. Basin goes into my storage container. At this point, I can go ahead and remove my gloves, pinching up at the center, pulling it off. 2 fingers I'm going to take, place under my glove, such as that. I'm going to go directly to my sink, and I'm going to again wash for my 20 seconds. I'm going to bring you guys a little bit closer so that you may be able to see that. I should have my watch on because I want to watch the 20 seconds, right? I want to make sure that my water is turned on before I start washing my hands, okay? I want to make sure that on test day, do not wear a lot of jewelry. I really recommend not wearing jewelry at all because sometimes jewelry gets in the way. Now, in most facilities, they should have a clock on the wall, or you are more than welcome to wear a clock with a second-hand watch, but just make sure that you're careful when washing your hands. Okay, with that being said, if your room doesn't have a clock, have on a watch. If it has a clock where you can visibly see it and keep up with the time, remove your watch before that skill. It's just best practice. Again, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to proceed to rinse my hands off, and you guys bear with me because at the time my paper towel are not in a position where I can pull them down. I'll have to grab for them, but that's okay. We'll make that modification. My hands are dripping down. I'm going to go ahead and get my soap. I want to create a lather, so it's okay if I get a little bit more water. Okay, I'm going to lather the back surfaces of my hair, the palmar surfaces of my hand, the dorsal surfaces of my hand. Again, 20 seconds. I'm going to make sure every part is getting washed. I want to do my fingers of each hand. 20 seconds is all we're thinking about. I want to interlace my fingers. Okay. I want to wash my wrists. Don't want to touch the inside of the sink, guys. And my nails are last. Make sure you're showing them you're doing good nail care. And then I'm going to simply rinse, not to touch the inside of the sink. Rinse. Make sure all soap is removed from your hands. You don't want to flick the water. No, you don't need to flick. Alright, we don't want to spread those germs into the surfaces of the sink. Okay, and then simply put, I'm going to let my hands kind of drip a little bit. Okay, and I am going to dry my hands. Now, when you dry your hands, you always start at the fingertips. Dry, dry. Then you can proceed to the other parts of the palmar and dorsal surfaces of your hand, wrist, throw away. Okay, second hand. I'm going to go ahead and proceed to get the paper towel. Okay. Fingers dry, 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 dry. Wrist is last. Don't go back down. Alright. Away. I'm going to take a clean paper towel. I'm going to turn my sink off. And I'm going to say skills complete.